In this video we're going to be going over the subsurface modifier, and I've actually already put it into the scene here, and I have it turned off at the moment. I divided my object in half. I tend to use it a lot with objects that are split, and I added a mirror modifier. So I make the mirror modifier visible. You can see that I have a duplicate half over on that side. I also set a face just to kind of see how this works with the subdivision surfaces. So usually when you starts at 1 for the subdivision surface, and here I can see my shape in general. If I increase this, it'll divide all those sections up even more, and then it subdivides again, if you keep doing this, you'll eventually add more faces than what's really reasonable for your computer to handle. And so what I do is I usually keep it below 3. If it's really complex, if things are slowing down, I might move it down to 2 or 1. In render, you can increase that. Usually I don't want it at 0 because for view, because then you don't see as much as, you don't get a good idea of how that's working together. So I'm going to turn this up to 3. If I have a face that I'm going to go ahead and extrude apart here, so I'm going to extrude up. You notice that this has a division now between those two top parts here. If I take that face and delete it, then it'll join back together just fine. If I want some of the edges to be sharp in between, I can go over to my navigation pane, and let's say I select a plane here. I could select by edge if I want. In fact, let's actually select these edges here. I'm going to go and do Alt and select right around there. And if I take my mean bevel weight, not bevel, but mean crease, and increase that, it'll make those edges sharper. The only reason this is going out to a point right there is because I made this line sharper. Let me go ahead and select my edges, and I'm going to select just those. If I decrease the bevel weight on those, I get a nice oval. The plane is flat though on the edge there. This will draw out the corners. If I click on the edge that's representing kind of the depth there, if I increase that crease, I get a sharper feel to it. But then you'll notice that it starts to bend in over here. I actually have to select all those edges and add a mean crease to them if I want it to be sharp going around. And so we can get a little odd, whatever in the world that's supposed to be there, shape. And just kind of be aware that if you do start to add and edit to this, it'll usually keep the edges that you have modified sharp, and it'll keep the other ones kind of what they were. So since this one here wasn't sharp and that one wasn't sharp, it didn't add sharp edges to it. If you're trying to select edges and you can't really see which edges you're selecting, or you can always hit the eyeball icon so you can get in there to work on it. I'm going to go to Edge Select here and select that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. And if I click back on the eyeball icon, even though I don't see those now, if I make those increase the crease on them, then it'll make the curve sharper. But since it's not sharp over here, I'm getting a little bit of overlap from how that shape's averaging out, and I get a little odd thing happening with the faces. So play around with it. Be aware that even though they might not look to you like they're connected and stuff as you do this and do the subsurface and adjust the mean creases, that it does have an effect on how things line up. And take some time to play around with the different features and see what they'll do.